Hey guys! Today we will have a look at some of the new features of VCV Rack 1.0, like polyphony, MIDI out, MIDI mapping and much more. Let's start! Okay, so first of all I want to thank my Patreons for their support. Thank you guys so much. And let's start with the file menu. Now we have the possibility to save our patch as a template. So if you have a patch that you want to start with each and every time, you can save it as a template. And then when you start a new patch, your template will be loaded and you can already start patching. Under the edit menu, we have now the possibility to undo and redo. This is something huge. So if, let's say, I delete a module by mistake or not by mistake, and I want to bring it back with all the cables that were connected, I just can undo this action that I've done. If I want to redo it, I can also do it. So we can undo and redo our actions. And what we also have under the edit menu, we have the clear cables function. Now you can see that it doesn't have a shortcut. So you cannot do this by mistake. You will have to click this action, this option. And when you click it, all of the cables will disappear. But you can, of course, undo this action or undo this option. Under the view menu, we now have the possibility to activate the parameter tooltips. So when it's activated and I go with the mouse on a certain knob, I can see the values or sliders, faders, everywhere I can see the values. If I change them, I can see this also, the change live. So I can see exactly where I am and what I'm doing. Under the engine menu, now we have the CPU timer, which looks a bit different than what we had in 0.6. Now we have also percentage, so we can see exactly how much CPU each module is using. And in the audio core module, we can see how much CPU we have left. Another thing we can do under the engine menu, we can activate multi-threading. So VCV Rack will use multiple cores of your computer, and this will of course improve the performance of VCV Rack. And a very nice feature that was added is moving multiple modules by holding Control and just pushing the modules we want to move to the left or to the right, so we can make space for other modules really easily, really quickly. And if we are already holding Control on the keyboard, we can now zoom in and out with the mouse wheel, which is great. It's amazing. It's a really nice workflow improvement. And it will zoom in where your mouse cursor is. So this is really easy. This is really cool. Then we have a new plugin browser. So if I right click somewhere on the screen, we have the new browser. You can see we have the snapshots or the skins or the pictures of all of the modules. So if you want to use a module but you don't know how it's called or from which developer it is, you can just look for it in the pictures and you can see exactly where it is. And also we have now the information on the modules. So if I just hover with the mouse on each and every module, we have different information. What is a sequencer, what is a VCO, and so on. Another thing that's new is by right-clicking a parameter, so a knob or a slider, we can enter the exact value we want. So if, let's say, I want to take now the macro oscillator an octave higher, I can right-click the frequency knob and add 1 volt, and now I have an octave higher, or 2 volts, so I have 2 octaves higher, and so on. So I can enter the exact value. And also in the if I right-click it, I can choose to initialize the knob, or by double-clicking it. So in 0.6, right-clicking a certain parameter will reset it. In 1.0, it's or double-clicking or right-clicking and choosing initialize. We also have the possibility now to disable modules by right-clicking them and choosing disable. You can see that they are faded out, which means that we don't have to delete them from our patch, but they will use less resources. And if you are already double-clicking modules, we can, by right-clicking, we can choose the presets. We have now a preset menu. And also, if the developer choose to put a preset folder in the plugin folder on your computer, you will have the presets also in this menu here, so you can access them really easily. And also we have under the plugin menu, we have all the different information we need about the plugin. We can go to the website of the developer. We can go to the manual directly from the right-click menu. To the source code. We can also donate to the developer if he has a donate link and so on. And also we have a new audio module. So in 0.6 we had only 8 channels. Now we have the 8 channels module, but also this module here, the 16 channels. So if you have a audio interface with more inputs and outputs, or you have something like the expert sleepers modules, you can use now this core audio 16 module. Okay, so now let's have a quick look at Polyphony. Okay, so here we have the KeyStep from Arturia, here we have VCV Rack, and I just want to mention that there will be a video all about Polyphony in VCV Rack 1.0. So if you find it interesting, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss it. And if I can quote Loopop, if you're from the future, have a look in the description. Maybe there's already a link to this video. Okay, and let's start with the KeyStep. We have here in VCV Rack the Midi module, and if we right-click it, we can choose the number of polyphonic channels. Now it's on monophonic, so 1 voice, but let's choose 4 for this example. And now we have a new module called Viz. With it, we can see how many channels we have active. So if I'll take the volt per octave output from the Midi module to the poly-in of the Viz module, we can see we have 4 channels active. And you can see that the polyphonic cables are thicker than the normal ones. So if let's take a normal cable, you can see it's much thinner than the polyphonic cable. So this is already one way you can see that the module is polyphonic. So let's take this now to the volt per octave input of my polyphonic oscillator. In this case, it's Basel from volt. And I will take also the gate output to SLAP. SLAP is also volt. It's a VCA and an envelope generator in one module. I will take the oscillator to SLAP. You can see all of my cables are thick, and also the light is blue. The light in the connections is blue, unlike green and red in the normal cables. And let's take it from the VCA. Let's take it first of all to split. So what is split? Split is another module, another new module that will split the polyphonic signal into separate channels, separate signals. So here we see also we have 4 channels active, and now I can take the first 4 channels out to the mixer, and I will get my polyphonic voice. Because the mixer is not polyphonic, the mixer is monophonic. So if I will go, let's say, let's try this directly to the mixer. You see I get just 1 voice because the mixer is monophonic. And what I have to do, or what I can do, is split the signals. So let's go to split. And again, there will be a video all about this in the future. And let's go to the mixer. I have, again, 4 voices, so 4 channels. And now I can play chords. Very cool. And we have another option if we don't want to use multiple channels. Let me just take those cables out. We have also another new module called Sum. And if I send the polyphonic signal or signals to the Sum module, again, we see that we have 4 channels active. And now we get a mono channel out of these polyphonic voices. So let's send this to the mixer. And now we just need 1 channel, and all of the different voices will be routed or connected to this channel. Very nice. And we have a few more options in the Midi module. So if we right click, we can choose how the polyphonic mode will act. We can choose rotate, reuse, and reset. And again, there will be a video about everything in the future. And we can also choose MPE. So you can use your MPE devices like the Rolly C board, for example, with VCV Rack. Now you don't need to use a keyboard, for example, or a controller to use polyphony. Let's just take all the cables out for now. We can also use sequencers. So here, for example, I have 3 different sequencers, which are differently set. You see the knobs are in different positions. We have another new module called merge, which will merge a few monophonic signals into one polyphonic signal. So let's send the sequencers, to the merge module. And we have 3 sequencers, and we can see we have 3 lights on. And now from the poly output, we can go, let's say, to a quantizer, and this quantizer quantum from ML is also polyphonic, so we only need 1. And from the quantizer, we can go to the volt per octave input of the oscillator, and let's take also the trigger to trigger slap. And I will use the gate output of the KeyStep to run the sequencers, and each time I will press a key on the KeyStep, the sequencers will move one step forward, and you will get polyphonic signals. So for each step, we have 3 different pitches. And we have chords and polyphony with sequencers, and not only with a keyboard or a MIDI keyboard to control it. Okay, and let's have a quick look at MIDI mapping and MIDI out. Okay, so here I have my case with the Neutron, and I have also a MIDI module from Intellijel, so I can send MIDI to the MIDI module from VCV Rack, and from the MIDI module I can take control voltage out to my case. But as you've seen in the introduction, in the opening patch, I use also the O-Coast, and I sent MIDI directly to the O-Coast without a MIDI module, so you don't necessarily need a MIDI module. And also here on the Neutron there's a MIDI input. But let's try this now with the MIDI module. In VCV Rack, I have Entropia from the Geodesics collection. This is sending a sequence through a quantizer, through quantum, to the volt per octave input of the CV to MIDI module. Again, there will be a video all about sending MIDI out of VCV Rack. So this is going to the volt per octave input of the MIDI module, and I'm taking also the clock that is running Entropia. I'm sending it also to the gate input of the MIDI module. So now what I can do, I can take a cable, I can take the gate from the MIDI module and send it to trigger my oscillator, or the envelope of the oscillator on the Neutron, which will sound like this. And now I can take also the pitch information and send it to the first oscillator, to the volt per octave input of the first oscillator, and we will have the sequence. Oh yeah! So now we have the sequence from Entropia in VCV Rack through a quantizer going to the Neutron from through the MIDI module. Which is really cool. And now, what else we could do? There is also MIDI mapping now available. I have here the Midilar modules. I will put a link in the description to a video I made about them. With them, I can control through MIDI. I can control VCV Rack. So now that we have MIDI mapping in VCV Rack, I can control anything I want. Actually, also some parameters that don't have CV inputs, like for example the steps of the sequencer. So I have here the MIDI map module. I just click the slot I want to use. I can move the knob I want to change. You see there is a square, a yellow square next to it. I move my controller. And now it's mapped. Let's do this to another one. Again, select the slot. Let's select the 4th step. Go with another knob. And now I can can play Arturia actually. I can change the sequence as I go, even though it has no CV input, because we have MIDI mapping now available. Which is really cool. I can go like this for hours. Okay, and that was it. Those were some of the new features in VCV Rack 1.0. If you think I missed an important feature, feel free to mention it in the comments. And again, there will come more videos about some of the features like Polyphony and Midi. So if you find it interesting, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell. And have a good one.